An incredible kingdom among ice and forests. The land of wolves and Vikings, blondes, and those who want to make their dreams come true. That's Sweden, of course. Now we are going to the middle world of Scandinavia, and be prepared. This departure will change your perspective on life, and you will see the surprising influence of the Ottoman Empire. A green country in the north is ruled by royalty, but don't worry, this is not the kingdom you know. For example, you are in a cafe and there is no room left. Even if the person who comes is a king, they will be returned by saying that we do not have a place. The country's population is 10.42 million and the capital is Stockholm. Wait, not up, not down. There is something worth seeing here. Can a country's subway stations become works of art? When it comes to Sweden, the answer is yes. The subways in Stockholm are one of the popular tourist destinations. Each one is a specially designed work of art. Since the city was built on rocks, the mountain was literally drilled into stone while the subway was being built. Each station has its own unique design. While walking around Stockholm, you may think that everyone is a copy of each other because 80% of the population is blonde. You can see children studying on the frozen lake while they are still in primary school. This is for them to love nature and adapt to difficult conditions. Speaking of studying, the state gives high school students an allowance of about $200 each month. For example, a Swedish high school student can travel to many countries during the summer vacation by saving only a part of this money. Of course, there are conditions. If he extends the school or makes unnecessary absences, this pocket money is cut off. We have just started the video, but I told you that you will be surprised a lot. Here is another one of them. If your pet has given birth, you can use maternity leave for 6 months. When it comes to pets, imagine you have a child of your own for 6 months, and then you have 480 days of leave. Almost a year and a half, and it is mandatory for fathers to spend time with their newborn using 90 days from this leave. This is fixed by law. Additionally, any public transportation you take with a stroller is free. Let's be a little more surprising. For example, if you broke the traffic rules 3 days in a row in the capital Stockholm, the fine you receive is paid to someone who did not break the rules for 3 days. Isn't it a nice way to comply with the law? Another thing that can only happen in Sweden: 2 people in the country use private drivers. The king uses one of these, and the prime minister uses the other only on special occasions. The slogan used for this is, "We do not operate a taxi stand." While you are drinking your coffee in Stockholm, the interior minister can sit at your side table. You may see the Minister of Health next to you on the bus because politicians there do not have the luxury of acting as if they received their authority from God. They do not receive a lifetime pension after serving as a member of parliament, and deputy salaries are much, much lower than the rest of the world. There is no parliamentary restaurant, and the houses allocated to deputies are only 42 square meters. Now, let's get to know the Swedes a little. Both the clothing and lifestyle of Swedish people do not go beyond simplicity. It is not easy to find a passion for luxury. For example, people get out of their vehicles, enter the second-hand store and shop. Nobody looks down on anyone. Even in Sweden, no one looks at you. They don't really look. Did you say how? They explain it like this. If a Swede looks at you for more than 3 seconds, either your zipper is open, ketchup has spilled on you, or he really likes you. To that extent, you walk around like a ghost. Let's say you are going to meet a Swede, you should be there on time. Otherwise, if you arrive 2 minutes late, your friend will not be there. Also, they do not invite people to their homes very often. Let's say you do, they are weird, but they are never antisocial. For example, in Sweden there is a thing called fika time. What is this fika? Think of something like 5 o'clock tea, which means drinking coffee accompanied by a sweet bun. If they say let's have fika, take your cake and accompany them immediately. They don't say no to this, they don't find it strange. In the country, no one calls anyone by their title or introduces themselves as a lawyer. No titles are written on business cards, and no titles such as professor, lawyer, docent, or teacher are used in social life. They got used to it because there is no gap between professions in terms of income, and the profession is less important than the individual. Sweden is the country with the most patents in Europe. As long as you have an idea, the state immediately supports you and offers you the necessary opportunities. Many inventions you can think of belong to the Swedes. Of course, relatively speaking, one of the most book-reading people in Europe is the Swedes. On average, they read 7 hours a week. Perhaps because of this tendency to read, they are the people with the longest education in the world. Education lasts 25 years. The country ranks 6th in the world in terms of welfare level, and many important brands we know belong to them. 25% of the white goods distributed around the world come from Sweden. IKEA, Volvo, Skype, Ericsson, Spotify, even Candy Crush Saga are Swedish products. Now let's take a look at the fascinating nature of Sweden. What do you say? The country is literally the land of green and white. It is the 4th greenest country in the world. 65% of its land is covered with forests, and 340 million trees are planted every year. There are also 97,000 lakes. Especially families organize most of their social activities by the lake. In winter, there are entertainments for snow tourism. Skiing and sledding are among the most common activities. The cold weather, which chills even the human spirit, has shaped life so much that there is the world's first and largest ice hotel in the country. The hotel has to be rebuilt every year. After the harsh winter months, it is even possible to swim in the sea in some regions during the summer season. Sweden is one of the countries that attaches the most importance to nature in the world. For this reason, Sweden is the first country to decide to completely abandon the use of fossil fuels such as oil and coal by 2050. Biofuel is used. However, garbage is also used as fuel here. There is a waste recycling system as well as a garbage system. In addition, you can easily drink all the water flowing from the tap of your house in the country. All of them are spring water and free of charge. There is a law in the country that says everyone should have access to natural resources. By law, people can swim in any water, pick fruit from trees, and even ride bikes on private property. Well, did you know that the Turkish word kalabalik was translated into Swedish as kalabalik? Swedish King Charles XII was captured by the Ottoman Empire and returned to his country after staying in Istanbul for a few months. When he returned to his country, he answered the questions, "How was Istanbul?" with kalabalik. It still has the same meaning today. Did you know that Sweden is famous for its Nobel Prizes? While the famous inventor and chemist Alfred Nobel has more than 355 different patents, we know him best for the invention of dynamite. Alfred Nobel, who was upset that a newspaper mistakenly published an obituary in his name when his brother died and made a headline saying, "The death dealer is dead," transferred his entire inheritance to the establishment of the Nobel Foundation in his will in order to leave a better legacy behind. 90% of the country's population self-identify as atheist or agnostic, and there is great respect for all religions. In addition, Sweden ranks first among the countries that help poor countries the most in the world. Well, is there anything bad about this country, I can hear you say? Of course, there is. A lot. Let's take a look at the bad side of Sweden. First of all, the biggest wound of the Swedes today is the lack of sun. If a Swede upsets you, he will immediately shut up when you reply, but you don't have the sun either. In a significant part of the country, sunlight remains behind clouds for months. It has a strange balance of light and dark. For this reason, it is compared to the Middle Earth in The Lord of the Rings. For example, you see that the sun has set at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and everything is pitch dark. In parallel with this, working hours start and end early. In summer, the opposite occurs, what they call white nights, and the days get longer during white nights. In the northern parts of the country, the day can be up to 24 hours. We also need to correct incorrect information. It is not true that Sweden is one of the countries with the highest suicide rate in the world. According to the research, it ranks 42nd in suicide rate. There is so much to talk about Sweden that it would take hours. Finally, I end the video by adding that Sweden is one of the best places in the world to watch the northern lights, one of the most beautiful views you can see. Even though it is a difficult country to live in, it is a place everyone should see once in their life. I hope you get there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more videos like this.